welcome again to another episode of Down to Earth but Heavenly Minded. And I'm your host, Risch. And this is on internet radio, and today our episode will be delivered from the Red Sea. I did want to mention that there are 12 episodes in this series on Egypt and Canaan, and this is by Daniel C. Snaddon. So with that said, let us just start.
Egypt-Canaan, Deliverance at the Red Sea, by Daniel C. Snaddon. Exodus 14. God is about to show his omnipotent power. Notice how his ways are contrary to human methods. See Isaiah 55 verses 8 and 9. For my thoughts are not your thoughts, neither are your ways my ways, saith the Lord. For as the heavens are higher than the earth, so are my ways higher than your ways, and my thoughts than your thoughts. Read verse 2. See map at this point. No commander in his right mind would have ventured into this impossible situation. Describe. Such a place was perfect for the display of divine power. When Pharaoh heard of the predicament of Israel, he mustered his forces, verses 6 to 7. They found the Israelites as reported encamped by the sea, verse 9. Look now at the scene in the camp of Israel. Verse 10, they were in great fear. They cried unto the Lord. Verses 11 to 12, they rebelled and murmured against Moses, God. Verses 13 to 14, the message and faith of Moses. Read this. Verse 15 to 18, the promise of God to Moses, the man of God, assuring him of complete and final victory. 1. Go forward. 2. Lift up your rod. 3. The sea will divide. 4. You will cross on dry ground. 5. I will destroy the Egyptians. Notice now the movements of God. Verse 19, the angel of the Lord stood between them and the enemy. The pillar of cloud moved from before them and took up a position behind them. Verse 20, it was a cloud of darkness to the Egyptians, smokescreen. It gave light to the Israelites. Verse 21, the miracle. The wind blew, the water divided. Verse 22, between the two walls of water the Israelites walked on dry land to safety. Verses 23 to 25, the plight of the Egyptians. Verses 26 to 28, the utter defeat of the Egyptians. Verse 30, the Lord saved Israel. Verse 31, notice the effect this miracle had on Israel. 1. They feared the Lord. 2. They believed the Lord. 3. They believed Moses. The typical teaching of the incident. Most young Christians find themselves in a similar situation after conversion. Their redemption is real, just as the Israelites was. The Israelites had the Passover, the new believer has Calvary. Some believers do not go very far before they reach the Red Sea. This for many is a traumatic experience. This is the point where one either goes forward and crosses the Red Sea or goes back into the world. Usually at this time God reveals himself in a new form, gives assurance, and shows us that our salvation is not only by blood, but also by power. Too many believers get bogged down at the Red Sea. They are miserable and live defeated lives. They are saved, but they still live in the world. They have never crossed the Red Sea, in other words, they have never died to the world. Consequently, there is no victory in their lives and no song in their heart. The Red Sea speaks of death, spiritual. The last connection with Egypt was broken here. It stood between them and Egypt. In the same way, the cross of Christ should stand between the believers and the world. Galatians 2 verse 20, I am crucified with Christ. Galatians 5 verse 14, God forbid that I should glory. The Song of Redemption. Only those who know redemption by blood and by power have the right or reason to praise God. Real praise comes after the appreciation of redemption. Exodus 14 verse 31 Israel saw, believed, sang, chapter 15:1. This is always the scriptural order and pattern. 1. The feet are first taken from the horrible pit and the miry clay, and then the new song fills the mouth. 2. The prodigal first received the Father's kiss of love, then they began to be merry. Luke 15. 3. Philip went down to dark Samaria and preached Christ, the people believed the word, and there was great joy in that city. Acts 8 verse 8. 4. The Ethiopian in the desert of Gaza believed, and then went on his way rejoicing. Acts 8. The story is always the same. Salvation comes first, the joy of salvation and its song follow after.
The end